Time now for Table Talk as we welcome in John Jastremski and Sal, is it? Yes.
Yeah. Great to be back. Welcome back.
You get locked out of the house, lose your car keys? What's up?
Right.
All right, Sal. To baseball now. And when the Mets get 2-run shots from both Lindor and Alonso, there has to be this feeling of the worm turning. So how frustrating is it then for them to ultimately pick up the 4th straight loss?
Terribly frustrating because you mentioned it. When they get the big home runs from their big bats, that is something that this team has lacked consistently all year long. They get those big hits on the road in Atlanta, feel comfortable taking that lead, to blow that lead with Carrasco and then the bullpen. They have to win this series, so the series obviously is not over with still 2 games to go with Verlander and Scherzer, of course, but this was one that they had. They usually don't blow leads like that, Eamon. Terribly disappointing.
No doubt about it. And Carrasco is cruising. I mean, this is a comfortable game for him in the bottom half of the 6th inning, and then all of a sudden unravels. And normally we talk about Alonso and Lindor doing the job from an offensive standpoint, and it means the Mets are going to win. Like I've said it till I'm blue in the face. Usually Alonso hits. Lindor, who's been slumping mightily, he's hitting .210. He hits the monster home run. I'm like, all right, this is going to be the Mets' night. They get to Elder, who's been outstanding for the Braves all year, and yet they can't do the job. Drew Smith, it looks like he's going to get out of trouble. He can't make the big pitch, and then things unravel, and that's been, in a nutshell, the Braves and the Mets 2.5, 3 months into this year. Braves finding ways to win. Mets finding ways to lose.
Again, for the offense, feast or famine. 2nd straight game, all the runs coming off the long ball. Now, JJ mentioned Carrasco let the Braves back in the game in that 6th. But, John, how concerned are you about the Mets bullpen that allowed the go-ahead runs?
You know, there's a lot of chatter and conversation about the Mets missing Edwin Diaz, of course, who is the premier reliever in all of baseball a year ago. And where you feel it is not even necessarily in the 9th inning because of how good David Robertson has been. Sal, it's like the trickle-down effect because you don't have Diaz, Robertson's in the 8th inning, Ottavino's sliding up, Raley's sliding up, and then you get into that middle relief. I mean, the middle relief is just no man's land for the Mets. They don't have answers. We talked about this yesterday as far as when the Mets try to improve this roster, and Billy Epler tries to improve this roster over the next couple weeks, the bullpen cannot be forgotten here because they need multiple arms there to bridge that gap. Now, the starters are giving you more length. That should help matters. That should help things. But they are an arm or two short in that bullpen.
Yeah, but the problem is that they had 2 guys that Buck trusts and that the Mets trust, and Drew Smith and Ottavino go out there in a big spot, and they didn't get the job done. Now, they trust those guys. I don't. Never have, never will. Drew Smith, I've been waiting for this guy. I mean, how many years have we been talking about Drew Smith? Oh, he's going to be an impact arm. Drew Smith. They needed him this year desperately because of Diaz. He's shown signs. He's way too inconsistent. He gets hammered with the off-speed stuff. I'm tired of Drew Smith. I cannot trust him. And Ottavino, same thing. He was great last year. Eamon, you know one thing I always say.
Bullpens are fickle.
The bullpens are fickle, so you expected if he was great last year, maybe not as good this year, and that has been the case. They needed him to have a shutdown inning, keep that game to within 1 run. He didn't do it. So these are 2 guys. This is not the underbelly of their bullpen. These are 2 guys that they trusted. They didn't get the job done.
And Carrasco got ambushed, and the bullpen could not finish it off.